Hey now, welcome back to the Deadology podcast from Pencil Hill Studio, New Paltz, New York. I'm your host, Howard Weiner. Today is November 3rd, 2025. This is Season 3, Episode 19 of the podcast. And tonight, we're going to be taking a look at Jack Straw. Jack Straw through the years, the best versions. I got 7 awesome audio highlights of hot Jack Straw jams lined up. I don't think I've ever heard 7 hot Jack Straws in a row. But as I put this together, I'm going to hear all 7 of my favorite versions. I think 7 of the best all-time performances by the good old Grateful Dead. And I was gonna do this particular podcast on Sunday, October 19th, a couple of weeks ago. But there was a reason I was going to do it on that date, because Jack Straw was first performed on October 19th, 1971, 54 years earlier in Minneapolis. First Jack Straw. I had everything set up, ready to go. I watched the Giant game before I was going to do the podcast, and the Giants blew a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter. Now, I'm a huge Giant fan. I don't get emotionally upset, but I was stunned. I had to watch podcasts. I had to figure out what the hell happened, because I never seen anything like it before. But I'm all better now, and the Jack Straw podcast was too delicious. I mean, hell, November 3rd, the Jack Straw podcast is going to come off just as good. So let's begin. A few quick notice mentions before we get rolling with Jack Straw from Wichita. Doug Schmel will be back on the podcast this week. He's going to be, I'm going to call him on Thursday. I'll have another episode ready in 3 days. This is going to be the 40th anniversary of the Rochester show from November 7th, 1985. Me and Doug were both there. The second set of that show is like one of my an all-time favorite go-to listen. So we're gonna try to remember what happened 40 years ago, but we definitely got the music. We got that down, so we'll have a good time with that in a few days. And 2 sad passings I got to mention here. Before we jump into the good stuff, there was one, the great jazz drummer Jack DeJohnette passed away last week, and it was going to be tough talking about that. But I'm listening to Sirius Radio today, and then I heard Donna Godchow, passed away. I think it was today, November 3rd, and I was really kind of taken back by that. Sad for all of us in the Grateful Dead community, family. What a great person, such a huge part of the Grateful Dead. Almost a little underrated, not even looking at her performances. I think I liked her performances best with the Jerry Garcia band, but just how she influenced and future generations, and her legacy with the Grateful Dead, it's enormous, much bigger than the 7 years she sang with the band. So 2 things stuck out for me. I didn't want to go off on a whole thing here, but I just had two thoughts, which were incredible things with Donna Godchow. First, she was there. She initiated one of the most important days in Grateful Dead history. 1971, Pigpen sick. The Grateful Dead realized they need to get a new keyboard player to substitute for Pigpen when he couldn't be there, play when he came back, and possibly might be the replacement. I don't even know if they were thinking of it in that terms at that point. It was 1971, and after a gig, Donna Jean and Keith, they were huge fans of the band. Donna went up to Jerry and said, "Hey, why don't you try out my husband, Keith? He's, great piano player," whatever she said to Jerry. And Jerry was like, "Hey, okay, let's give him a shot." And one thing happened, and Jerry heard Keith, liked him a lot, called some of the other guys of the band over. Everybody's like, "Yeah, this guy's amazing." And that was that. And it's so incredible if you think about it, because the Grateful Dead are looking for a new piano player, keyboard guy. Keith Godchaux wasn't on their list, and he never would have been on their list. He was pretty much an unknown, very talented, but an unknown to a lot of people in the music world, and nobody in the Grateful Dead ever would have thought of reaching out to him. So if it weren't for Donna Jean's courage and tenacity, or whatever adjective you want to put to what she did that day, just the guts of the woman to go up and speak to Jerry and charm, and she just probably charmed him and said, "Hey, listen to Keith." And Keith was that freaking good in the tryout that he got the job right away, and just incredible, because the Grateful Dead never would have found this guy if it weren't for that serendipitous moment in history. And yeah, so the band's playing from 72 through, say, 77, I think, are unarguably the best years of the Grateful Dead. They took their music to a new level, and where no other band's gone, and Keith was the right guy, had the right kind of training, classical, jazz, just exactly the direction the band was. They were spectacular musicians, masters at this point, but they were heading into a new direction, and Keith Godchaux was perfect because he was an egoless. So when Pigpen came back, he was able to step back. He didn't need to take the center stage and take any credit away from anybody. He was perfect in that role, and just so talented, man. The Grateful Dead couldn't have drawn up a better guy to have joined them at that point. So thank you, Donna Jean, for charming Jerry into getting Keith a tryout. Because he was the perfect guy that helped them move their music into a new realm. And the second great thought I had about Donna Jean is she's probably responsible for the employment of more singers and cover bands than any person in the history of music. Every Grateful Dead band, well, not everyone, but a large percentage, have a female singer, and it's all because of Donna Jean Godchaux. I mean, she was only in the band 7 years. But when a Grateful Dead band kind of gets together, you got to have, obviously, the Jerry guy, Bob, bassist, drummers, probably 2 drummers on most occasions, keyboard player. And like the last ingredient, you got to have a Donna, a female singer. And I mean, we so enjoy seeing these, female vocalists performing with the Dead cover bands. It's something that's there. It's part of the Grateful Dead cover band. You pretty much have to have a female singer, and that's because Donna Jean Godchaux. And also the Grateful Dead putting her front stage, and pretty incredible how that all turned out. And her legacy is alive at every one of these cover shows you go to, man. Because you see that female singer up there. It's part of Donna Jean Godchaux's legacy. And obviously she'll be missed. Other sad passing I have to mention, Jack DeJohnette, and I knew this guy personally. One of the great jazz drummers of all time, a master, a true jazz master. Played with everybody who's anybody in the world of jazz. But his claim to fame early on was Charles Lloyd. He played with Charles Lloyd, and then Miles Davis heard that and said, "I got to have this guy in my band." And, Jack DeJohnette joined Miles for Bitches Brew and toured with him for a couple of years. And just an amazing, amazing career he had for decade upon decade. Now, how I know him, I think I mentioned this on one other podcast. My father was an accountant, had an office in Manhattan, and he met all these jazz guys, and they became his clients. And then my dad moved to, his name was Lenny. He moved up to Nanuet, and all these guys followed him. I mean, a lot of them lived in Woodstock, whatever. And they used to come to our house. I mean, my bedroom was right next to my dad's office downstairs. And it was insane. Jack DeJohnette would come out of taxes done. He was a great guy. I'd always talk to him. My father would introduce, we'd hang out. Down to earth. And anybody who ever interacted with him will vouch that for Jack, man. There's no prima donna there, man. No pretentious. He was just a great musician and a down-to-earth person. and just so memorable, more so than any of the other jazz guys who were all very cool to me. So they would come over, they would sign albums for me because my father would tell them how much I love music. I couldn't get into jazz. I was like, at the time I was 13, 14, 15. I was into Boston, Kansas, just starting to get into Led Zeppelin, probably getting over Kiss, and about a year away from the Grateful Dead. But these guys were regularly getting their taxes done. I guess they must have really liked my father. There was no musical connection. My father never listened to jazz. So, like, he would tell me that these guys were famous, but I had no idea. He never said, son, you gotta listen to Bitches Brew, Miles Davis. This is gonna blow your head off. And Jack plays on that, and Dave Holland plays on that. The other two guys, Larry Coryell and John Abercrombie, that used to come over our house. So these legends would be right next, doing their taxes as I'm listening to Left Overture and More Than a Feeling by Boston and Kansas. So pretty funny to think about it. So over the years, I went to one Jack concert with my father. It was great. It was Jack DeJohnette, Pat Metheny, Herbie Hancock. We got to meet them all after the show. My father passed away about 35 years ago. That was one of the last great memories I have with my dad, going to see Jack, and this was at the Beacon Theater. And then I went to see Jack several more times over the years, and the guy couldn't have been nicer. The first time I went, I said who I was. I know Jack invited me backstage, hang out. Every single time he played, he would always take time to talk to me after the show and reminisce, and he always had great things to say about my father. So that loss really hurt me. Great guy, Jack DeJohnette, lost to the music world. And I have one last great memory of Jack DeJohnette, then we're going to transition to Jack Straw. Last year I saw him at the Ulster Performing Arts Center. I think it was about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year. Santana was in the band. Santana's wife, Cindy Blackman, played drums with Jack. It was a Miles Davis tribute, and Jack threw this whole thing together. Wallace Roney Jr. was there. There was so many great musicians that night. One of the freaking hottest concerts I ever heard. I hope whoever's in charge of Jack's music could get that out on album, because that would go over so well with jazz fans. But it was mostly from the fusion years too, so it was like rocking. It was pretty damn close to the Grateful Dead, as close as to the Grateful Dead as you're going to get in a jazz setting. Just a great last memory for Jack DeJohnette. We're going to miss him. R.I.P. Jack. R.I.P. Donna Jean Godchow. And one thing that will never die is Jack Straw from Wichita. Man, what a great tune from the Grateful Dead. And I've done a lot of talking to start off the podcast, so I'm going to play you one of my favorite versions, and we're going to get back into the whole Jack Straw thing. This one's from Glens Falls, April 14th, 1982. I was there, 10th row. It's a perfect Jack Straw. Everything about it, the singing, the way the band's playing is completely flawless, and the guitar jam is insane. So I think everybody's going to dig this, and we're going to do some more highlights later on, but I wanted to start the show off with one Jack Straw in its entirety, and this is the one from Glens Falls, April 14th, 1982.
We can share the women, we can share the wine. We can share what we got of yours, 'cause we done shared all of mine. Keep on rolling, just a mile to go. Keep on rolling, my old buddy, you're moving much too slow. The watchman right outside the fence took his rings for bucks and change. Ain't that heaven sent? Hurts my ears to listen, and it burns my eyes to see. Cut down men in cold blood, might as well been me. Plays for silver, now we're playing for life. Once for sport and once for blood at the point of a knife. Now the die is shaking, now the die must fall. There ain't no winner in the game. You don't go home with all, not with all. Leaving Texas, 4th day of July. Sun so hot, clouds so low, the eagles fill the sky. Detroit lighted out of Santa Fe. Great Northern out of Cheyenne, from sea to shining sea. Gotta go to Tulsa, first train we can ride. Gotta settle one old score, one small point of pride. Ain't a place a man can hide and shine, will keep him from the sun. Ain't a bed can give us that power to keep us on the run. Too slow. We can share the women, we can share the wine.
The top 10 of all time Jack Straw, no doubt. Straw kicking off the festivities in Glens Falls on April 14th, 1982. And if a musician who really didn't know the Grateful Dead and was about to join a Grateful Dead band came up to me and said, hey, what's the best version for me to listen to really get the essence of Jack Straw and understand the song, it would be that version from Glens Falls. Because it's, as Bob Weir might say, it's just exactly perfect. So the singing's great, the pacing of it. On that particular night, the drummers are late, so the perfect song to open up with, because the band had energy and there was almost like a little anger in there, the damn drummers are late, we got to rush now, get through this first set quick. And what a Jack Straw to open up, incredibly hot. But just the way the guitar jam proceeds there, and Phil's bombs and everything, the way they're singing, man, just a rare that no flubs, everything's emotional, raw, and the guitar jam is just perfectly laid out. It's hot. It just incrementally gets hotter. You got the chord fanning at the end, the scrubbing, and then they go back into the final verse, and Jerry's hitting the right licks, and Phil's got the bombs going. So all the right moves in all the right places, man. That Jack Straw works for sure. And what a great song Jack Straw is, man. Hunter lyrics, perfect, man. This may be the best folk song he ever wrote. It's just brilliant, man. I like it. It's so weird, but any great folk song has that weirdness of, and this almost deceptiveness to it. And, you start off the song, we can share the women, we can share the wine. And we're at a Grateful Dead show, and it feels so good. And yes, you just feel the brotherly love amongst the band, between the band and the fans. But that's where the deception is, because it's so beautiful and warm. And then in the first verse, you got a robbery, and then second verse, you got a murder. So it's just Bob Dylan had some kind of great quote in Chronicles. I can't remember it exactly, but he said every folk song is like entering a strange country, and that's what Jack Straw is, man. It's a strange country you're entering. But the intensity of the music, the way it picks up after the opening verse, no song really like it. And you're rolling along, and you still got the sharing going on. You got Weir taking a verse, then Jerry taking a verse. It started off as just the Weir singing it. It was a Hunter Weir composition. Weir wrote the music. So. Kudos to Bobby, man. This is one of his shining, finest moments here. But it eventually became almost like a group song, a communal, where Jerry sings the first verse, Weir comes on. It was just perfect the way it was set up. I think the first time where it was a Weir song at first, the first time that they actually started trading verses was somewhere in Europe. I think it was Amsterdam. On May 10th, 72 to be exact, but hopefully I'm right on that. It would be nice if I got the date exactly right there, but I think it's the first time Jerry took a verse there. And then it goes back to singing the beginning with this beautiful melody again. Leaving Texas, 4th day of July, sun so hot, clouds so low, the eagles fill the sky. But great imagery, man, and just you're out in the audience once again, and you're just thinking of beauty. But it's a couple outlaws on the run, once again, with that deception. That's a great folk song just to pull all that weirdness off. And then they go back to the verse trading and the big finale with the guitar jam. And the guitar jam incrementally got better year by year. So the legend of Jack Straw continued to grow as time went on. And then once again, they end the song after the fierce instrumental. We can share the women, we can share the wine. So it does this complete cyclical thing, where it's ending as gorgeous as it began, and just such a well balanced song all around. And there's something about it, man. The first time I heard this off Europe '72, phenomenal song, and that didn't even have the great guitar jams that we became accustomed to over the years. So the song grabs you, and once they started expanding on that guitar jam, it just became one of the best songs ever. You're not going to find the Deadhead anywhere who doesn't have this in their top 20 songs. I never heard of anyone say a bad thing about Jack Straw. So moving on to our next version here, and this one, I would say without doubt, is the most underrated Jack Straw of all time. A couple of reasons here. It's from the Sanger Theater on October 19th, 1980, when the Grateful Dead were doing their 3-set acoustic run. They started in the Warfield in California, and then went to New Orleans, the Sanger Theater, for a couple of shows. And the acoustic set up, 2 electric sets, and then they finished off at Radio City. So one of the reasons it's overlooked is because the New Orleans shows are, all the other shows, the Warfield, Radio City, there's official releases, soundboard recordings. This is just an audience recording. So it's easy to see why it might be overlooked. But I'm going to put an end to that right now because this Jack Straw is insane. And it was played on October 19th, 1980, 9 years to the date that Jack Straw was first born in Minneapolis. And that was also Keith Godshallow's first show, the October 1971. So that ties right into the whole theme tonight. But on its 9th birthday, they were in New Orleans, and man, they just killed this Straw. So it's great. It's got the perfect building, the scrubbing, the cord fanning. And then when you least expect it, Jerry comes back with this insane run that just makes this Jack Straw. It makes it one of the best ones of all time. Check it out. Hey, that's why we love the Grateful Dead and we love Jack Straw, man. And what Jerry does there after the chord fanning, I love those moments where Jerry will just out of nowhere pull something out of the hat that you've never heard before, never imagined the song could go that way, and the band's able to stay with him and add to the value of where Jerry's going. So just a great opener there from the Warfield, Jack Straw, and that was probably the highlight of the entire show. Some of the Radio City shows on the electric portion weren't as hot as the other shows they were doing during that period. But man, that Jack Straw, that's a winner. That's one of the best of all time for sure. And yeah, Jack Straw has a really interesting history. Great song. They're playing it great right away. It pulled me in the first time I heard it on Europe 72. And I listened to all those early versions. You could hear it like creeping, getting a little better, but still it wasn't a full-blown instrumental in there, just a lot of cool noodling from Jerry, and you could just tell he wanted to bust out. Each version, a couple more licks were coming in, and Jerry was, as much as you could fit guitar licks into a 4 or 5 minute Jack Straw, Jerry was doing it and doing it more as time went on. By 1974, you get some really nice versions. They haven't fully expanded it yet, but there's one from the Philly Civic Center. It's either August 5th or August 6th, 74. One of my favorites from that period. You could really tell the song is about to jump into another dimension. And they didn't play it in 1976 when the band came back from their little brief hiatus from touring. But 77... I'm going off the top of my head here. It was a Palladium show. I think it was May 3rd, 77. I could look at one of my books, one of my Deadology books. I wrote about Jack Straw in Deadology Volume 2, the 33 Grateful Dead anthems, guitar jam anthems, whatever I call the book. My book titles are so long I can't remember the book titles, but Deadology Volume 2, I picked out 33 of the best jam anthems, and in that book, I have all the information on the Jack Straw, all those particulars. I think it was from the maybe August 5th, 74, Philly Civic Center. That was what I pointed that out as being one of the great versions, and so we're going through 77. At this point, the song really expands. You got, I'm trying to think of some of the great versions. Alabama 517 from that May tour. You could really hear just there's an intensity to the band's playing that was different before. It was intentional, kind of like they did in Sugaree, but in Sugaree it was more obvious. Binghamton's one of my favorite 77 Jack Straws. They just kill it on that. Great audience, great soundboard of that Jack Straw, unbelievable. And then 78, it took another step. Just the jams are getting longer. Recently did a podcast with Doug on Eugene, Oregon, January 22nd, 78, and I was kind of blown away by that Jack Straw. Another really good one from 78 is the Giant Stadium, September 2nd. But you could pretty much go to any Jack Straw from 78 and not be disappointed. But 79, it takes another step, and this is really, for me, the first essential Jack Straw period, 79 to 80, where it's just off the hook. Some of the best versions ever. And we just heard one from the singer from October 19th, 80. I got three more from this era. This is probably the best era, 79 to 80. Brent's in the band. Something about Brent being in there brought a different energy to the Jack Straw. While I'm talking about 79, another great Jack Straw, which I'm not going to be playing for you. I didn't cut this one. Nassau Coliseum from October 11th, 79. One of the best. I know people love that Jack Straw. It's insane. Garcia's picking is out of control on that one. But for 79, I picked two other ones. One is from the Philly Spectrum. I believe it's on one of the Dave's Picks. It's been released as a Dave's Picks. Just there's something bouncing about the playing. Just with Brent in the band and Jack Straw, there's just somehow it got like, it expanded. There was like, the song just bounced, and anything could happen within that instrumental. And boy, this one, they go off. I think the one from the next year in Philly is even better. We're going to hear that a little later on. But they have Philadelphia and Jack Straw. There's something going on. So let's check out the November 6, 1979 Jack Straw. And this one was the next to last song of the first set. And that's one of the cool things about Jack Straw. The later on you caught it in the first set, probably the better it was going to be. And it's kind of like a weird contradiction there, because you loved it as an opener. You were dying to see it as an opener, but it was at its best when it was towards the end of the first set. And this is next to the last song in the first set, 11/6/79. Enjoy.
This train we can ride. Gotta sit on one old school. One small point of pride.
First place a man can hide and shine will keep him from the sun. In a bed can give us rest now. Will keep us on the run. Share the wine.
Jack Straw, next to the last song of the first set, Philly Spectrum, November 6, 79. And wow, just when we're singing his verse before the big instrumental, Jerry's cooking already, man. He can't wait. He had some licks on his mind that he had to get out, and he did like a variation. He would come out with these quick picking licks and just do this variation on it, and it almost just the single-mindedness, the single-mindedness of his playing there, and just that slight variation that keeps it interesting in the band, just ripping along with him. We're just chopping away on the rhythms, and Phil hitting the bass bombs at the right point. Brent sounding great, and everybody's kind of filling in for each other. But Jerry's just on a rampage. You know, he found this lick he likes, and he worked it pretty much over through the entire Jack Straw while still raising the intensity. You know, just marvelous playing, man. Like, but I listen to some jazz guys like Grant Green who could hang on to the same lick and just make it interesting. And Jerry was the master of that, man. He could just find a beautiful lick and work it over for 3 minutes in Jack Straw. And that's pretty much what happened there, as the intensity in the band just took it where it needed to go. Great Jack Straw deal follows to end the first set. And to change pace a bit, I was going to go with another 79 or 80 version, but just to give you a completely different sound on Jack Straw, I'm going to jump to the year 1987, Brendan Byrne Arena, April 6th. I happened to be at this show. Hey, I wasn't even thinking this as I set it up right now, but same thing, Jack Straw deal to end the first set. And just Jack Straw out of place. It worked, man, because it meant a couple things. It meant the band was hot and the band was into playing it, because if they were pulling it out towards the end of the first set or somewhere in the second set was more unusual. It was more at the end of the first set. You know, you better duck and cover, man, because they were coming for blood if they played Jack Straw late in this set. And yeah, these versions are incredible. So this is the next to last song of the first set, Brendan Byrne, and the show's going pretty good, nothing extraordinary, and just Jack Straw took it to the next level. And what I love about this version is this is like the band and Jerry inspiring each other. Like Garcia came out of this jam hot, and you can hear the band just into it, and the crowd's going nuts, and just like it's evolving exactly the way you want it to. Everything, Jerry's back after the coma, everybody's overly optimistic and going nuts, and the Jack Straw's proceeding is like a dream. Then Garcia, like he did in that New Orleans version I played earlier, just found a new lick out of nowhere, which has never appeared in any Jack Straw. I mean, it's very much in the Jack Straw vein, but you can almost picture him stepping up to the front of the stage and saying, "You like that? Well, check this out." And it's one of the most extraordinary guitar runs I ever heard in a Jack Straw. And everybody in the crowd knew it, man. The Brendan Byrne went nuts because it was completely exciting. It was brilliant. It was everything you want to hear, but also people identified it as something that was extraordinary that they never heard before. This Jack Straw I might not put in my top 10, probably in my top 15, but when you'll see what I'm talking about when Garcia hits that lick. It's insane. And then the band, you know, they do a lot of back and forth. Just a very cool version, not as long as some of the other ones, but just extraordinary for its originality with that one detour Jerry takes. Enjoy.
Small port of pride, ain't no place that men can hide. We'll keep them from the sun.
We can share the women, we can share the wine. Just hearing that on that night back in those days, 1987, when they played like a super great version like that, and you knew Jerry was back when he would play like that, there was this great optimism, great hope that the Grateful Dead would be bigger and better than ever, and Jerry would go on, and it never really materialized, but they did become bigger than ever for sure, man. It's just that they got so popular, and but I would hear a Jack Straw like that, or Hot Music Never Stopped like they would play in Hartford a few nights earlier, and just when Jerry could top things he'd done earlier in his career in 1987 during that comeback year, it was so exciting, and it kind of all came to a head with the Watchtower Morning Dew at Madison Square Garden, and those were glory days. Good times were here again in 1987 when you hear stuff like that. Great Jack Straw. So let's get back to 1979. So we're back into that hot pocket of Jack Straws. I already mentioned Nassau Coliseum 11179. We heard Philly Spectrum for November 6th. I'm sure there's a whole bunch more hot Jack Straws from that year. But we're the end of the year, the very last show, they killed it with this Jack Straw, man. The New Year's Eve, Oakland Coliseum. And there's a video, I'd highly recommend checking this out, a black and white video from that New Year's Eve. They opened the show at Jack Straw Franklin's. Now, the band is in the zone. They're also probably high as motherfuckers, man. They are locked. You got to watch this video. It's like they're just locked into playing like animals out of a cage. It's this Jack Straw, and the thing is, they miss lyrics left and right like you've never seen it in a Jack Straw Franklin's. But it's easily the best one because the playing is that good. So what a way to say goodbye to a year, 1979, say goodbye to a decade as you move into the 80s. It's just, there was something about it, man. Just the 70s was the decade for the Grateful Dead, and they let it all hang out in this Jack Straw Franklin's before the New Year's. So without any further ado, let's enjoy that Jack Straw. And when you get a chance, check out the video, man. You won't be disappointed, man. An amazing black and white video of the Dead on New Year's Eve. Here's the Straw.
We can share it, but really we can share the wine.
That, my friends, is kicking ass and taking names. Google it. Just Google kicking ass, taking names, and you'll find Oakland Coliseum, Jack Straw, December 31st, 79, saying goodbye to the greatest of the Grateful Dead decades, and fearlessly moving to the 80s. And man, I tell you, that Franklin's Tower that follows, it's instrumentally the best Franklin's. It's just they butchered the hell out of the lyrics, and I love this video so much because the band's completely locked in, but they're not looking at each other. They're not smiling. They are just playing completely like focused maniacs during this Jack Straw. Just complete focus on what they're doing. No crowd, no looking at each other. Everybody's on a mission, and they know what the mission is. And the result is 10 out of 10, man. What a great Jack Straw jam. And there are 2 to go. 2 Jack Straws to go here from the Jack Straw special. And as I figured, man, as I really wanted to hear all these Jack Straws one after another. I thought, is there even a chance I might get a little bored, man? Nah, each one of these Jack Straws is beautiful, completely different. And the more I hear, the more the more I want to hear. I wish I could extend this beyond 7 Jack Straws, but I got 2 more picked out for you. One is from the Philly Spectrum. We've already been there, 79 for that Jack Straw. This one is August 30th, 1980. And so I get into Jack Straw from Europe, 72, and I hear the Binghamton tape, 77, and then I understood what the expansion of Jack Straw and how great of a song, it was already a tremendous song, but what that great instrumental could do. And my friend Doug Schmel, who I'll be reconvening with in a couple days as we discuss the Rochester 85 show, his first show was August 30th, 80. And he got a cassette tape of it, not the best recording. And we were listening to this going nuts. And nothing like when you hear the soundboard now. We really had to like listen to it, man, because it wasn't a great recording, but we were just like, my God, I was like, this is what a Jack Straw could be. Just the playing here is beautiful all the way through. Jerry comes out ripping. The band is just pounding like they are on the rest of these Jack Straws. And once again, Jerry takes that detour, man. Like he hits a point where you think, he's done all he could do. And then he steps up. I picture the guy stepping up to the front of the stage and saying, here's a little more. Check this out. And this one might be the most dramatic of the ones I've played so far. We're just a completely, let's change the pace. Let's change the momentum kind of thing. Just a type of lick that will just forever make you a Grateful Dead fan. If it was your first show or, just something that you'll never forget. And man, I so love this Jack Straw. And also if you're an Althea fan, the Althea before is the best one ever. This is August 30th, 1980, Philly Spectrum. But let's jump right into this Jack Straw, man. I can't wait to hear it myself right now.
Even Texas, 4th of July. Sun so hot, the clouds so low, the eagles fill the sky. You catch a Detroit lightning out of Santa Fe. The great northern Irish Cheyenne from sea take a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes, so everybody hang loose and get to know each other.
Jack Straw in all its glory to end the first set, man. That's where it was at its best. They didn't do it a lot late in the set, but when they did, they meant business, man. Great Jack Straw and Philly Spectrum, and my friend Doug Schmel, who will be on the show. Just a changing moment, man. You see a Jack Straw like that, then the first set, and whatever preconceived thoughts you had of the Grateful Dead, as much as you loved them, that just took it up to another dimension, man. Unbelievable playing. There's nothing like a Jack Straw at the end of the first set, and the last Jack Straw is also going to be from the first set as set ender. Syracuse, Carrier Dome, October 20th, 1984. I think this is the greatest Jack Straw ever. And it was one of the great tragedies of my life missing it. Well, I had a good time that night, but I caught the entire, here's the pre-story, I caught the entire October 1984 tour. Every show except that last one in Syracuse was my brother's bar mitzvah. Obviously, I had to go to it, had a great time, but Jack Straw on that tour, the most unusual, one of the coolest progressions of Jack Straw in any tour. So they did it on October 9th in Worcester. I was there second row. What a memorable night that was. Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's to open the first set. And I'm out there, and I hear the opening licks of Jack Straw. I'm like, this can't be. I was freaking going nuts. They played Jack Straw fourth after Help, Slip, Franklin's. And it's a really good straw. I love it. But with all the great straws out there, this one probably comes in number 37 or something like that, which is a huge compliment. But great Jack Straw, real good rhythmic stuff on that. They also played He's Gone Smokestack. It was their first Smokestack since Pig's passing 13 years later. So just a crazy, memorable night. And the tour rolls on. Next time they play Jack Straw is in Hartford. Very hot version once again. And it's also before the set ender. I think they ended the set with Day Job, something very anticlimactic. But Jack Straw was next to last in that set. Extremely hot. Probably not hot enough to make it onto this top. We did 7 tonight, but it probably wouldn't make it into the top 20. But probably top 50 all-time Jack Straw. It was smoking, man. It was maybe even a little better than the one the time before in Worcester. So this is one of the great Jack Straw runs, 1984 into 1985. And then there's this Carrier Dome show. I'm going to circle back to that. But in 84, man, they did November 3rd, I think is the date, or it was November 2nd possibly, in the Berkeley Community Theater. They played a great Jack Straw. And then 1985 comes around, they did spectacular Jack Straw in Springfield. One of the ones I put in my book, the Deadology Volume 2, as well as the one from Providence on April 4th, 85. And then April 13th, another great Jack Straw. This is out west somewhere. It's Irvine. It was in Irvine. So just 3. This is another pocket, man. Like 79, 80 was a pocket of spectacular Jack Straws. Whatever reason, 84 and 85, they found something reborn in the song. And a lot of times they put it more towards the end of the set, as they did here in Syracuse. And man, in Syracuse, only show I didn't catch that tour. Brother's bar mitzvah. The next day, everybody I knew who was at that show called me and said, "You would not believe the Jack Straw." One person told me Garcia jumped up in the air while he was playing it, which is hard. I believe him, but it's hard to believe because Jerry was like 300. He was in his worst physical shape, but he was still playing like a demon at the end of 84. And when you listen to this, you could picture the man jumping, even if it was an inch or two, just jumping while this Jack Straw is going on. So explosive, man. And the Carrier Dome wasn't even, I thought, like a great place to see the band. But just for some reason, the show's going along, place is crowded, that they just hit like a hot spot. They did Birdsong before the Straw. Everything about this Straw is money. It's dirty, this Straw. They come right out. Weir is pissed off from the first verse. He is Jack Straw. He's not Bob Weir anymore. He is Jack Straw. Jack Straw is up there performing this, and everybody picks up on it, man. Like there's like a there's like a seriousness, a power to Weir's voice. Every single lyric, he is Jack Straw, and man, just the play, the way Phil's playing. I'm surprised the Carry the Room didn't cave in that night, man. It was just remarkable. So you pick up this Jack Straw in the middle of the jam, you wouldn't even think it's the Grateful Dead. It sounds demonic. It's not even Jack Straw. They are so on fire during the Straw throughout the whole thing. They put a little extra pepper into the first instrumental, but it's another country. It's another universe. That last jam, one that I consider this the best Jack Straw ever. October 20th, 1984. We're going to play the whole thing for you right now. Everybody, thanks for listening to the Jack Straw special. Hope you learned something. If you learned nothing else, you love the Jack Straw jam. If you made it this far, it's one of the greatest, most unique jams from the Grateful Dead. Doug Schmel coming in next week. We're going to talk about Rochester '85, and yes, sad week though, man. We lost the great jazz master Jack DeJohnette, drummer extraordinaire, and Donna Jean, man. The Grateful Dead universe is crying tonight, man. She was a special woman, so important in Grateful Dead history. Thanks for everything you did, Donna Jean. And I'm your host, Howard Weiner. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And here is the Syracuse Jack Straw in its entirety. Enjoy. Peace out.
We can share the women, we can share the wine. We can share what we gotta use, cause we done shared all of mine. Keep on rolling, just a mile to go. Keep on rolling, my old buddy, you're moving much too slow.
Watchman was outside the fence. His ring for bucks and change. Ain't that heaven sent?
Hurts my ears to listen, and it burns my eyes to see. Cut down a man in cold blood, Shannon. Might as well been me.
Gotta go to Dolphin, train we can ride. Gotta sit on one score, one small point of pride.
Ain't a place a man can hide, will keep him from the sun. Ain't no bed can give us rest now. You keep us on the run. ladies party now. Half a mile from Tucson by the morning light. One man gone and another to go. My old buddy, you're moving much too slow. We can share the women, we can share the wine. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Everybody move back.